On this week's GTA 5 o'clock, GTA Online Freemode events, we've played them. Details about the new Adversary modes, and a full breakdown of every challenge we played. It's all here on this week's GTA 5 o'clock. Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of GTA 5 o'clock. I'm your host James Jarvis, and joining me this week for a very special appearance is none other than co-host Dan Dawkins.
Yeah, co-host is generous. I haven't been on the show for probably only a year, but thanks to everyone who still remembers me. Exciting show today.
Yeah, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Dan, you're here for a very special reason. We've been to see RockStar again.
Yeah, I only come out for a VIP party nowadays.
Exactly.
And in this occasion, the debut of Freemode events, which if you don't know what they are, James can give you a little heads up right now.
So these are coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC only. More on that in a second. They are events that take place within the world of GTA Online without having to go into like a job circle or anything. They are basically dynamic public events that will occur every 12 minutes. But just before we get onto that, they are free as well, and they are coming September 15th. So that's next week. So as we mentioned, only coming to PS4 and Xbox One and PC. Now, obviously, some people are going to be a little bit sad about that, but there is a reason why they are being left behind, right, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think, let's be frank, there was going to come a point in the future, maybe it's as sooner than we expected, where RockStar wouldn't be able to support all formats of GTA Online indefinitely. I think there comes a point where you're almost capping the game by restricting it just to the previous generations, and to truly move on. And, you know, RockStar aren't naive. They'd obviously look at the statistics of people who are playing the game and probably ascertain and go, look, the bulk of our audience is playing, let's say, on PS4 or it's PC, or, you know, on one of the newer formats. So this won't be a naive decision they've made. And I think they'll acknowledge that they will be leaving people behind. But let's stress again, this is a free update. But my genuine view is that, yes, people will get upset. I think it's bad for some people. But truthfully, come on, guys. You know, we've got to move with the times. And I think what they're giving us is a really nice suite of, I'll stress again, free content.
Well, let's talk about what they are actually giving us then. So Freemode events are available for anyone to play without waiting in external lobbies or navigating through menus or anything. They offer big cash and RP rewards and range from things like structured and cooperative battles to individual live stunt challenges and King of the Hill and things like that. Now, they did say there were 200 variants in total coming next week, which sounds like an incredible amount of stuff, but when you think there were going to be different speed challenges and parachuting challenges and stunt jumps and all of that, and lots of variations on the new things that are coming in, I think there is going to be about that many.
Yeah, and I think you've got to look at it as it's like 8 slightly different twists on one theme, as opposed to 200 completely unique and diverse game modes. I mean, that's a lot of thought, given that there's already no shortage of game modes within GTA Online, so it's just even more. And I think what to me, and I'll hold my hand up and say I've been away from like GTA Online for actually quite a long time. I haven't really played much in the last 6 months, so for me it was quite interesting to come back to it. These events for me focus more on kind of the fun stuff that people created for themselves. And in fact, it's worth saying up top, and James only pointed this out to me afterwards, probably one of the best new modes, I would say, at minimum, has a similarity to a mode we used to host when we used to do our live streams, GTA 5 o'clock live. I'm sure you can put a link on screen to make people watch that, and they can go, shut up, Dan, stop claiming credit for things that aren't yours. But I don't know. No,
at minimum is maybe being generous.
Really?
Bounty Hunter, if some of you used to watch the streams will know, was a challenge where we had everyone in the lobby chasing down one person. We gave them like a 30-second head start, and then everyone in the lobby had to go and destroy them with whatever means necessary, really. We'll get onto the modes a bit later on, but there is definitely one that when we get to it, you'll be like, hey, that sounds a lot like that Bounty Hunter mode they just talked about. But I'm sure, you know, imitation, flattery, all that. So, yeah. And it was a lot of fun when we invented that.
It was super fun. Such a good idea. I wish I'd had it in my... Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So How do you get into free mode events? Well, you get a countdown clock that appears on the HUD, which shows you how much time there is before the start of the event. You can choose to participate in that, or you can just choose to carry on rolling around in your tank, blowing people up if you want. If you miss the start or choose not to participate, you can then see everyone else in the lobby like participating in that event, and even on occasions like you can cause trouble. So if people are going around, say, collecting checkpoints, which is one of the new things, you can still chase people and cause them a lot of damage with your giant tank or your helicopter or anything. Like, it doesn't take them out into a different lobby. They're just doing things within the world, which actually makes it feel like a lot more alive. It makes it feel like a lot more is happening while you're just driving around the streets. You can see different things, different people racing off to do different things. So the things that we actually got to play were, we started off, Dan, all in our like fancy cars that RockStar had given us. Some players put us at a reasonable high level, like 130 to 150. So we got to pick out our favourite cars from the garage, and then we had a fastest speed challenge, which was a really short one. It was basically pick a vehicle, try and go as fast as you can.
Yeah, you had 3 minutes, I think, to record the highest speed of any of the players trying the challenge. Obviously, it's a battle to essentially make sure you've got a really fast vehicle. So that's part of the challenge within the 3 minutes. The second part then is making sure you're in a location where you can actually go fast and not get flipped by a car, having to turn a bend, etc., etc. So it's quite interesting, because straight away some people blaze out like big 110 mile an hour. And then, the next thing is the guy who's gone softly, and like I called in a Pegassi Zentorno, and I got up to 127 miles an hour that I was like faintly pleased with for a bit. But pretty soon, some of the RockStar guys we were with, we were recording top speed was 135 miles per hour, which was pretty quick. Yeah,
so there's a lot of things to think about doing this. Like, you get 3 minutes, you can change vehicles if you want to. If the bike you've chosen isn't working out, you can call in another one, or even like carjack someone if you see another one driving past. And definitely pick your location to do this. Downhill is probably best. You'll go a bit faster. Or one of the freeways, I guess. So by taking part in all these events, you do get cash and RP for just taking part and doing things. Obviously, the better you do, the more cash and RP you get. Now, compared to what you get for doing jobs, like, it's quite difficult to gauge that, because the jobs are quite structured in the way that they give you a set amount of RP and a set amount of cash. Well, obviously, it's going to depend on how many people are playing these challenges, what position you come in, and all of that kind of stuff. But you can, if you want to, just do these free mode challenges and you'll still rank up and get money that way.
And it's worth noting it's not just the fastest speed challenge. There'll be like fastest and longest challenges all over. So there's the longest jump, the longest skydive, the longest wheelie, the most vehicles stolen, the most near misses, which almost makes it play a bit like Burnout or something. The lowest parachute deploy, so like the ultimate game of brinksmanship. The longest bail from a vehicle, that's going to be like absolutely amazing. And then the furthest distance low flying. So it's just such great, obvious, incentivized things to do together, and will work so well playing with friends in a big lobby.
Cool. So we moved on from that to Penned In, which is another new mode. It's basically a vehicle free-for-all, which essentially becomes like a portable destruction derby. So you drive into this, what starts off as a giant cone on the map somewhere, and once everyone's in, the mode starts, and then the cone gradually moves over the map, like into different locations, and you have to stay within the cone while everyone else is trying to stay within the cone, and basically bash everyone out of it. Now the cone, as it moves, gets smaller and smaller and smaller, until when we were playing it, I won, we'll get onto that, it became like a tiny, tiny blip. Like, you couldn't get a car in it.
It's 1 car width or less by the end, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's tiny. You can just about get a wheel in it by the end. But this is great. It's a, like I said, portable destruction derby. It gets smaller and smaller. If you go outside the circle, you get about, I think it's 10 seconds to get back in, and there's like a beeping countdown, which is like, really tense. Damage is on, but there aren't any weapons. So it is just smashing into people. You could team up with people if you're in the party chat going, oh, let's try and get the giant truck out first. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and like, imagine, it's a difficult thing to get a head around. Imagine basically like a spotlight being shone on the world by a drunken god, and the spotlight keeps shifting and you have to stay within its glare. So at the start, the spotlight's really large, like James says, and it's actually quite easy to stay within that zone. It gently moves around along a sort of fairly linear-ish path, and you just keep following, almost like a race. And like RockStar kept stressing, it's all about spatial awareness. So it's not about being out in front, it's more about being in the middle of the cone to make sure you're not going to suddenly be caught out by a lurch or change of direction. But then even that, because that's the obvious thing to do, is tactically fraught, because everyone wants the middle ground. And if someone's in a giant, like 4x4 or a huge haulage truck, they're likely to crush the smaller cars. The pack's sort of irrelevant. It's about the cone.
Yeah.
You've got to stay in the cone.
That's crucial.
But even then, at the end, the cone's so small, it is the pack.
Yeah.
So there's an extra layer of tactics. And there's also, like James says, a tactics to deliberately staying out of the cone, knowing your time is about to run down, but you can then smash into the cone at high speed to nudge another guy out, almost like bulls or something.
Yeah, because as soon as you get back in the cone, that timer resets, and it's just like, you're fine now. You get extra time to just spend in the cone. But I chose a Dubster, a 6x6, big four-wheel, six-wheel monster truck, and that's the one I won at, mainly because the tiny sports cars, like Dan said, that you can pick, would just drive underneath my giant wheels and wouldn't affect me at all, and then I could just sit on top of them, which really helped. So that was really fun.
And it's also slow burn, so you don't just play it for like 1 minute. It was 10 to 15 minutes.
You could play it for a minute if you're rubbish.
Yeah, but I mean, with all highly skilled players like ourselves, I mean, it lasted a good, I think, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe?
The cone starts off pretty big. You can get sort of 40 cars in it if you wanted, and then it does shrink down as it moves down these windy paths. I imagine there's going to be loads of variations in the path it takes and where it starts and where it finishes, so vehicle choice is going to be a massive thing. But as with all of these, you do get a warning that event is starting. It will say penned in starts in 5 minutes, and you can be right, I know what truck I want for this, or I know what Jeep I want, or what bike I want. I'm going to go get that from my garage, then I'll go to the start point and I'll try and win.
It was super fun.
Yeah, that was wicked. Big point to note about that is, obviously at the end of it, and all of the smashing up, a lot of the vehicles end up in the sea or in a ditch or on their back or destroyed. So insurance claiming on your vehicles after that is free. So you can take in your £2 million sports car and not have to worry about paying to get it back. So that's a nice little touch. After that, we drove around for a bit and waited for the next one, which was Criminal Damage. Now, this is basically just Rampage from the old GTA 3 and those days of it's basically racking up the biggest damage bill you can in a set time. There's no property damage, so it's all vehicles, pedestrians, and you just get your biggest weapons, go out there and blow absolutely everything up.
Yeah, I played this slightly too cleverly, where I think we were out in Sandy Shores area when it started. There's actually not many cars there, and what you'd like to be doing ideally is wedging a giant petrol lorry across the freeway, getting 30 cars stacked up and unleashing a load of stickies and rockets in there. That's what I tried to do, but basically by the time I got to the freeway, I'd been driving for 2 minutes and not shot anyone. Yeah. So it was basically stupid. I should have just gone out straight away with the RPG and caused a massive ruckus. And you can shoot each other if you want, but it doesn't really matter. It's more about just shooting and blowing up as many things as you can, and the escalation that comes from that. It was really good fun. The key again is having loads of brilliant weapons beforehand and choosing a good location. You
can see in a lot of these challenges, like the speed one and this one, the top 3 or 4 players, their score is in the bottom right corner, as part of the HUD, so you can see the kind of scores you're aiming for and then racking up, and you got your score, so you can see the kind of target you want to get. I think the winner got £2.7 million worth of damage. I didn't do very well, got about £1 million, which I was quite happy with, but obviously that was weak.
Yeah, I got £500,000 because I basically gambled all of it on a giant freeway meltdown that never happened. Brilliant, well done.
After that, we moved on to Hunting Pack, which is a new form of team-based game. There's 8 players, and you get 2 teams. One team has a priority vehicle that they have to drive, which is rigged with explosives. See if this sounds familiar to you, Dan. It's a vehicle that's rigged with explosives, and if that vehicle drops below a certain speed, that vehicle then blows up because it has a bomb on it.
This sounds not unlike the plot to the famous Speed 2 with Jason Patrick.
That's correct.
But possibly it was a prequel that was more famous. But You know,
Yeah.
this was basically speed, right? It was
Yeah.
completely speed. One person would drive like a giant truck, just basically a big vehicle, like a fire truck.
We had a fire truck first time, yeah.
And then like 3 people would flank him in like, let's say black or white, depending whether you're the defender or aggressor, like a nice big sports car. And then there's no weapons.
No.
The attacking team just has to ram the big vehicle off the road, while the big vehicle team, one person drives the big truck, and 3 people basically run interference and blocking.
Yeah.
And you go through quite a large amount of the map, and you know the game could last anywhere from, as it did with us, 2 minutes to 10 minutes. Like, and you know, if you're sensible with the lead vehicle, it is a giant, massive, heavy thing and quite hard to stop.
Yeah.
But if the lead driver gets any doubt whatsoever on a bend and gets wedged on a piece of scenery, probably good night, Charlie.
Yeah,
Pretty quick.
once it goes pretty slow, then it's hard to get those things back up to speed. The thing with the defenders, the ones driving the truck, is they have a waypoint on the map of where they have to get to. So they're not just like driving around the city. They go, this is your starting point. You have to get to here, but don't go very slowly or you'll be in trouble. It feels a lot like when you're playing it, like if you've seen any of the Fast and Furious films, the recent ones when they go as a pack and they try and take like something from one of the giant movable vehicles. There's a lot of like smashing each other off the road, trying to get in front of the truck and like pincer it in and slow it down a lot. But it's really fun. Yeah, when we played it, I mean, the truck ended up in a giant ditch. I think it got driven off the road pretty quickly. But there were a lot of occasions when it did get to its final destination point. It's hard to slow down one of those trucks.
When you're in the fire truck, you can use the water cannon and try and squirt the
no
cars
effect.
behind. It doesn't do much, but it's like it definitely runs interference again. It's quite funny.
Yeah, so there's like 7 different variants on Hunting Pack. I think we saw a fire truck. We did it again with a flatbed a bit later on. There's a taco truck, which seems relatively easy if you're going to try and stop a taco truck.
Depends on the strength of the chasing pack, I suppose.
Yeah.
Whether you've all gone Faggios or something, you know, it'd be quite funny.
I guess so. So then, after that, we moved on to one of the new Adversary modes in GT Online. These came with the Heist update, but these ones are like a new one. So we had Kill List Competitive is the one that we played first of all. And this is 4 players in a helicopter competing against another team who are also in a helicopter to destroy a wave of Merryweather helicopters that are coming in and ground troops. And the team with the most kills, the most Merryweather kills by the end of the time limit is the winner. Now, you do get 2 teams and you can see the other team, but they're in like a ghost helicopter, so there's no way of you shooting the other team down. You can be in the same airspace and all of that kind of thing. Your primary objective is to shoot the Merryweather helicopters, and they pack quite a punch if they hit one of your attack choppers. The other Adversary mode of that we played was another of Dan's favourite. This one's called Cross the Line. Now this is actually really good if you understand how it works. Now there's 2 teams of 4, and you have to get your entire team across the enemy's line. So what it is it's a big wide open space like at the airport, and there are 2 lines like superimposed on the screen. One of them is blue and one of them is red. You start, say if you're the blue team, behind your blue line, and the point is you have to get your team across the red line, which is opposite yours where the other team is standing.
And in the middle is like a no man's land,
Yeah.
right, where you sprint across to cross the other team's lines. It's almost like they segment the pitch into 3 zones: your zone, no man's land, and the other team's zone. And as you say, you've got to go from your zone over no man's land to the other team's zone.
Yeah.
But just you doing it is not enough. And this is where my brain starts to melt. James, explain it to me.
Yeah, so the point of the game, to win the game, you have to get your entire team across the opponent's line. So all 4 of the blue players have to end up in the red area, essentially. Now, that's quite difficult because as soon as you get into the red area, if any of the red team gets killed, they will spawn back in their red area. So you can't just stand there and be like, hey, I'm in the area. You have to basically coordinate it with your team to go, right, we'll kill them on the right-hand side, and then we'll all run left, so we can all be over the line.
So I've possibly complicated it in my mind.
Yeah, it does sound like that, yeah.
All I know is, like, I think it sounded easy, but in reality I didn't quite understand what was happening. All I knew was that, like, when I didn't get shot as much and I shot more of the other team, we seemed to do better.
Well, that is how, you know, any kind of game mode like that will work.
Yeah, I relied on my base instincts there for shooters. And, like, yeah, you definitely have to run through no man's land. But
Yeah.
I think that what it did highlight, in all seriousness, was that teamwork and coordination paid dividends. James was the only one who understood it and the only one who could tell us what to do, but he managed to make us win a lot of games.
Yeah, well, we won a few, but it is mainly there's a lot of fire exchange in the no man's land. Obviously, there is a lot of cover in there and like tactics that you can go around different obstacles and things, but it's essentially a deathmatch with a goal at the end. So like the kills don't matter. The main objective is to get people into your opposition's area. Now, a lot of the time that doesn't happen because it's just a 4-on-4 and it's a trade. So like you'll kill someone, someone will kill you, and you get into a bit of a stalemate. So at the very end, just to confuse things a little bit further for Dan, there is a sudden death mode, and there are 2 variations on the sudden death mode. So if the timer runs out and neither of the teams have crossed the opposition's line, there are then 2 sudden death modes. One of them is last team standing, which is, as it says, if you're the last team standing, you win. The other one is first to cross the line. So that is, and these are randomly generated, I think. So it'll just pick one depending on what it decides. The other, so first cross. So you have to be. Then it's only one player from that team has to cross the line first. So if you're on the blue team, if one of you goes over the red line, you win. If it gets down to sudden death.
Basically, it was my favourite game mode that I didn't entirely understand.
And then after that confusing state of affairs for Dan, we went on to play Hunt the Beast. Now, this is the one that may sound familiar. A team of players basically track and kill the beast. The beast is randomly selected in the amount of people who want to play the game. I think it's up to 15 people you can play, maybe the entire lobby. And then the beast has superior speed and some extra health, and the point of the beast is to collect 10 checkpoints that are scattered around the map before he gets killed, and you get 30 minutes to do this, but the beast is invisible on the mini-map apart from when he collects a checkpoint, and then he becomes visible on the map for about 10 seconds, and that obviously increases in duration the more checkpoints he visits to give you a better chance of killing him.
Yeah, he appears like a beast icon on the map in the corner, and that sort of flashes up, whether it's directly in the area you're in or like to the north of the radar or the south. So like, there's definitely a tactic of having your, as the team who are chasing the wolf, you want kind of your eyes and ears far and wide. So having people up in choppers patrolling all of Los Santos is a really good idea.
Yep.
Now, I played this game both ways, so I was lucky enough to be the beast on one of them. So I don't know if should we talk first about the chasing experience?
Yeah, so the chasing it involves a lot of talking and coordination, because you need to have people in choppers, you need to have people on the ground, and you need to really tell each other like where you are and what you're seeing.
Ah, well, this is the thing. In the first game where we were chasing the beast, if you'd said to me, there is no beast, it's like an invention and we were just running around having fun for no reason, I could have equally believed it for the amount I saw of the beast. Like, I didn't see him once, I barely saw the icon on the map. All I heard was loads of our team going, he's there, no he's not, he's over there. And bear in mind, the extra layer to all of this is that one person in your lobby, and you don't know who it is the beast. So they might be pretending to be chasing the beast when they actually are the beast, and pretending to coordinate with everyone else. And what they're saying is really, I'm here and I'm double bluffing you, or I'm not here and I'm keeping suspiciously quiet. Like, it's an extra game within a game. But on the first go we had, which lasted a good 10-15 minutes, I didn't see the beast, I was nowhere near it, I was constantly chasing my own players who were chasing the beast. It was a weird experience, but still fun. Kind of like, running around blindly on a playground going, where's the ball, like being an idiot dog or something, chasing a ball that wasn't there. Yeah,
it's really good, but it does take a hell of a lot of coordination and not being able to like see them on the mini-map or anything, because they appear for such a short amount of time, and then they can go off in any direction, so you don't. It's like what we were doing, which I think was probably incorrect, was going to like the last known location. And obviously by the time you've got there, unless the beast is pretty stupid, they're not going to be there anymore. So you end up sort of doing like a cat and mouse chase around the map, when really you should be heading to like the next checkpoint, but you don't know where that checkpoint's going to be or which one they're going to trigger, because there's 10, but they can, as the beast, trigger them in any order they want. I don't know if they're like different checkpoints every time, or it's always the same 10. So if you play the game more, you'll start to learn where the 10 checkpoints are, and you can space people out.
We played with RockStar, and it was pretty clear that they had an idea of what kind of zones to patrol, where checkpoints might be. But I guess that's more to do with, you know, maybe some areas give you better visibility. But when I got to be the beast, and to do that to begin with, before the game mode starts, you sort of put your hand up by pressing right on the D-pad. I think, is that right?
Yeah, everyone who like is playing Hunt the Beast gets put in a hat, basically, and it picks one of those people.
You get to choose if you want to be the beast, right? So I put my hand up to be the beast, and then it randomly selects one person.
Yeah.
Now, the slight giveaway was, when you become the beast, your screen flashes like there's a disco going on. So the guy from RockStar next to me was like, your screen appears to be flashing a lot.
Yeah, and you went very quiet too.
Yeah, so for all those reasons, it was obviously me. I'd like to think it wasn't obvious, but it was basically, I may as well put on a costume while I sat in the seats.
But the thing with this is, when you were the beast, is you get a 30-minute countdown to go to all 10 checkpoints, and it took down about 9, maybe 10 minutes to do the first checkpoint. I don't know if you were like just standing next to it waiting for people to like disperse and go somewhere else, or you were just genuinely going, oh, which one should I do first?
I think it was a mix. Basically, my ineptitude was a strength, because I didn't really understand the geography or quite what I was doing. I sort of meandered around as the beast. And when you are the beast, you look, you know, to all extents and purposes, not unlike Teen Wolf, the old movie starring Michael J. Fox, right? I mean, other teenage wolves are available. I'm sure it's not based on that, and so on and so forth. It just happens to look a lot like it. And now he runs a bit faster than a normal man. Not shockingly so. It's not like the Skulls unit from MGS5. And you're a little bit better at jumping, and you're a little better at resisting fire. But you're not like a god, so you've got to be pretty mindful. Now, I ran to the top north end of Los Santos around the hills. I basically struggled to sort of get in the zone where the things were. So it was basically ineptitude is why I didn't trip a checkpoint. But I will add that when I did get near the checkpoint, I could see it physically in front of me like a big yellow blob. I also knew there were loads of choppers near me. So I deliberately sat under an alcove just while everyone blew over. And then I ran to the checkpoint. And I had in my mind a very clear exit path. Like, I'd seen the car I wanted to nick.
Yeah.
And you can drive when you're the beast, right? You're not stuck to, like, you know, being just on your feet.
And you can drive anything, like helicopters or boats or submarines, I guess.
And wield anything. So you can have machine guns, RPGs, the lot. You can do anything to put the opposing team off. You happen to be a beast. So I got the first checkpoint. They saw me. They all had a big flap and a panic, and I got away. Eventually, I went down to the docks, and like it was hilarious listening to people guess where I was with absolutely no clue of where I was. I almost actually got bored. So like I called in like a really bright green Pegassi Zentorno again, and like the minute the chopper went over, they were like, "There's a peculiar green car in this zone." So they did pick me out. Now I got to a stage where I was on foot with a helicopter directly above me, peppering me with machine gun fire, and like honestly, all hope looked lost. But just by sprinting like Billy-O, right, sprinting loads, I managed to get under an alcove where they couldn't see me. And then the minute they spotted me again, I pulled out an RPG and just kept peppering the air with like rocket fire.
Yeah.
And it was just enough to scare the chopper into backing off. And before you knew it, I'd stolen a haulage truck and I was like invisible again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really, really fun mode, and definitely one that I think will be really good for like live streams and things like that. So maybe we'll investigate doing a bounty hunter. Oh, no. Sorry, Hunt the Beast when we come back and
get it right.
Do a GTA 5 o'clock. So that after that, we went back into the free roam lobby and almost like fell into one of the new modes called checkpoints.
Yeah.
Now this was already going on when we joined the lobby, but we joined it by just walking up to one of the checkpoints and going, yeah, we fancy a bit of that. And you get 120 checkpoints spawn on the map. So if you go back into a free roam lobby while this is happening, like it looks like a load of gold coins have just like fallen all over the map because everything is like yellow everywhere, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? But they are basically just giant markers, like the kind of markers you get when you're doing an air race or a car race, like big circles, and you have to walk into them to collect them. Now you have to compete to get the most in the given time limit. Now you think you get about 6 minutes to collect these, and it comes in 2 variants. So you can have land and sea checkpoints or purely air checkpoints, which probably cause a lot of carnage doing air checkpoints. But we did land and sea ones, so you get 6 minutes to collect them all. and you do get an RP reward for collecting each one, and you have to basically plan your route around and go, right, there's that one, then I'll get that one, then I got that one. But everyone in the lobby is trying to do it as well, so you need to be a bit smart and try and find an area where perhaps there aren't as many people. I ended up winning that one with 13, which doesn't sound like many, but if there's only 120 and there's like 15 odd people in the lobby, like, you know, if you're getting about 10, then they're going to go pretty quickly. And that was basically the end of our time with the free roam challenges. We had a really good time. I had a little drive to the casino because I know everyone's going to be like asking about it. It's still coming soon. The sign is still up. But it is great. All these modes like are really great new additions to GTA Online, and you know there'll be a lot of people saying, why wasn't this there from the beginning? But it wasn't, and it's free. You're not having to pay for this update, and it definitely does bring a lot more to it. And it's something that if you're not really that into doing jobs with other people, or you're not into doing the heist stuff, or you haven't got enough people to play with, it allows you just to go on to GTA Online and play with other people and interact with people by doing things that you'd probably be doing anyway, like driving your car really fast, or collecting checkpoints, or running away from the rest of the lobby after having blown them up with your rocket launcher. Like, it's really fun.
Yeah, super fun, more diversity. I'm interested to know in the comments, like, which ones do you think sound best to you? If you are actually bummed by the absence of a PS3 and 360 update, you know, let us know genuinely. I don't want to be glib about it, but I just felt like maybe they needed to move on. But, you know, let us know what you think. And it was a really good, fun, additional suite of ways to engage with the game. Let me throw in one final bomb.
Okay.
People have been asking, and in fact, the last time I appeared in GTA 5 O'Clock in 1907, I said, what's happening with the single-player DLC they've mooted, right? The latest is, there is no update.
Wow, what a bomb.
Yeah, what a bomb, eh? So basically, I think it's not been cancelled or anything, it's just the status is what the status was. It was acknowledged as a thing, but with no visible timeline. So I'll see you in Space Year 2056.
Yeah, so basically single-player DLC still on the way, but no other information.
Yeah. What
okay,
an update, eh?
Thanks for that update, Dan.
That's why you get me on only once a year now.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video, and we will see you again for another episode of GTA 5 O'Clock.